Few books are so powerful they can change the way you look at life. Well, that's what happened when I read Naked Jane Bears All. I was so deeply moved by how this woman has persevered despite all that she has been through. Take a look.
It happened when Jane Schwartzberg was a 31-year-old newlywed.
I went to the doctor because I found a lump. She told me that she was so sorry, but that she was certain that I had breast cancer.
That shocking diagnosis was followed by a double mastectomy and chemotherapy.
They warned us that because of the chemotherapy treatments, we wouldn't be able to have biological children. It was devastating.
But defying the bleak prognosis, Jane did get pregnant twice and was pronounced cancer-free, remaining that way for 10 full years.
I felt that I could move forward.
And then another shattering blow.
I had the cancer all this time, and that now I did not have the possibility of being cured.
It seems so cruelly unfair, but she's still fighting and urging everyone to embrace life, no matter what.
We are here for an incredibly short time. All of us, we really need to actively ask ourselves what we want to do with this little bit of time we have.
In her case, it meant trying to arrange a meeting with a certain famous comedian who's always made her laugh.
On a particular day that I was having an awful time, one of my best friends asked me, is there something that would just blow your mind? I immediately said, actually, yes. I wrote a letter, and I couldn't believe what happened.
Please welcome Jane Schwartzberg. Hey, Jane, so nice to have you here.
What a joy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of
Wow.
course. Yeah, look at that. I love that this book of yours it's not a sad book, it's an honest book, but it's about finding your joy. And I want to find out, in a minute, you're all going to find out what happened with that letter. But first, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really well. I'm one of the lucky ones that my meds are working beautifully. My disease is stable, and I feel great.
So at this point, there is no cure for the cancer that is in your body
Correct.
now, but you can hopefully control it so that it doesn't get worse.
Exactly right. It's managed as a chronic disease.
And there's a part in your book that is incredibly moving about the first time that you saw yourself in the mirror after you'd had reconstructive surgery. You were with your mom. How hard was that moment for you?
It was so hard. And actually, I don't even think I have spoken to my mom about this because I think it was such a hard time for both of us. We unwrapped me, and my mom blocked my view into the mirror. And I said, just move over a little bit so that I could see a peek, a little more, until I was looking at myself, my entire post-surgical self in the mirror. And it was very hard to get used to, and what really flipped me out was seeing a birthmark that had been on my stomach. Now it was one of the puzzle pieces that made up my breast.
Because they had actually moved the fat and the muscle from your stomach to recreate new breasts for you.
Exactly right.
Well, on the cover of your book, you have the word fighter written across your chest, but you really say at this point you prefer the word surrenderer.
What I mean by that is surrendering to however I feel, whatever I need, leaning on people, letting myself take a nap, letting myself admit how hard this is, and instead of fighting, just being with the reality.
Which is a good place to be, to understand that other people love you and are there to help you as well, too.
Absolutely. It is the best place to be.
Well, when you were at your lowest, you were talking with a friend, and they said, who would you want to meet? What would you want to do? You wanted to have lunch with somebody. You wrote the letter. Who was that somebody?
That somebody was someone who my family and I are crazy about, Larry David.
Larry David, okay.
Yeah.
And why Larry David?
We just, like many people, we are obsessed with Larry David. His humor. I watched many episodes of his shows while I was in the hospital, and I don't know, he just sort of, he was the person that when my friend said, what would just knock your socks off, I said, I want to have lunch with Larry David.
So you wrote him the letter. Did you think that he would respond?
Initially, I thought it was the craziest thing. But then, as I started to kind of rehab myself, and I was walking a little bit at a time in the park, and I actually came to believe that sometimes the universe works really well, and somehow, yes, I was going to sit and have lunch with Larry David.
You even bought a dress and the whole thing. He hadn't responded to you. Your husband thought you were a little nuts.
Yes. My husband, so here I had barely come out of bed for weeks and weeks, and one day my husband came home from work, and I came down and I said, hey, hon, I got the dress. And he was perplexed, and I said, for my lunch with Larry David. And he said, oh my gosh, we're really gonna have to talk. You know, because nothing had happened.
But then Larry did call you from LA. Yes.
He did! Yay!
And you went out there?
Yes!
And you had lunch with him and his producer?
Yes, his producer, amazing woman.
And so what was that like?
I'm not sure because it was such an outer body experience that I was only half there. It was amazing. I felt absolutely beautiful. I wore the dress that I had bought before I knew I was having lunch with Larry David. And we had a wonderful conversation. And more than that, it was just, it reignited for me my wonder in the universe.
Well, it's such a thrill to have you here, Jane. I know that when you think about other people and you hope for other people, you hope that they find joy, that they show up for their life, and that they accept help. 3 lessons that you have learned, and thank you for sharing them with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Such a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
Our thanks to Jane Schwartzberg. Naked Jane Bears All is available now. It is a wonderful book.